Let's continue with the review. I hope that you have your manual of Reiki 1. And if you study like you mentioned that you were going to do,
I was a good girl yesterday and I did my homework. I did vital energy and the 5 elements. Okay, but you can't send me on it.
great. Fantastic. This group is flying. Okay, so let's continue making the questions. Last class, we even had the chance to review what were the 3 main components of energy, at least in this reality. Who remembers?
Okay, I remember only two. Someone helped me out. Okay, there's electricity, magnetism, and is it frequency, vibration.
And vibrate and sound, yes, vibration. All of them vibrate, right? Because remember that the light is a frequency. All the energy has to do with waves, up and down. And that's why when we clean the house, we went up and down, because this is the shape of the energy. The energy, as you can see here in the picture, moves in waves. That is called a frequency, because every time that we have a wave, that we have this movement, and every time that it is repeated with several times within a period of time. For example, I have 10 waves in 1 second. So the frequency is 10 in 1 second. So we are going to see that there are very big frequencies, long length frequencies, and that are huge, like the size of a building and all that, like the radio frequencies, the cell phones, many things like that. Or the length of the wave is very short, but it happens very rapid. So many frequencies in a very short period of time. And these are the frequencies, for example, of the thought, of the emotions, and then the higher our level of consciousness, faster is the frequency. So it means that it repeats with more times within the same period of time. Higher frequency, that is what it means. A lot of length, like it goes up and down many times, very rapid. That is basically the components of the vital energy, which is electric, magnetic, and vibration or sound. Or movement, we can also call it movement. All of these 3 together are like the ones that we know in our reality. I was reading some things from different sources that were saying that the energy is always only one, but because we hear in this dimension, we listen with our ears and we see with our eyes, we consider that there are 2 different types of energy, and we measure it with 2 different conditions. We measure it with hertz, according to the sound, and we measure it with the colors, with the light. But because we perceive it through 2 different senses, we think that they are different, but they are not. It is the same. It's just that we consider it different. The thing is that each of us has a more developed sense. And that's why some of you are going to perceive the sound, other of you are going to perceive the colors, other of you are going to perceive the feeling, the vibration. And very few people can perceive all at the same time. But the idea is that when we are going to give Reiki, we know that if we are perceiving colors, sounds, vibrations, any type of sensation, maybe flavors, maybe we just taste like, this tastes like cigarette, or this tastes like chemics, like a lot of drugs, or sometimes it smells like flowers, then you're dealing with energy, are qualities of the energy. So all what you feel when you are giving a Reiki treatment is going to give you a clue. And according to how you feel it, how your perception towards it is going to be like a positive thing that you can enhance, or a negative thing that you have to clean or release a blockage. Okay? The light has its own sound. It comes together. And a thunder has its own light, let's say, its own color, and its own sound as well. For example, a thunder. You can maybe perceive the light because we see the frequency of light is faster than the sound for the time that it reaches us. It is the same energy. The problem is in this reality, the sound has to fight with the environment. Let's say it has to go through the air, the obstacles, the resonance that it finds. So for the time that it reaches you, it is because of the environment, the conditions. It's slower than when it happened at the same time with the light. But both of them happen at the same time. It is the same. It is just that we perceive it in two different, let's say, with two different organs in a reality that it is divided with 5 senses. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. No.
Little bit.
Okay.
Sorry,
Let's
the
repeat.
speed of sound is the same of the speed of light.
No, it's not the same.
That's why we can see them at different times.
Exactly. You perceive it in a different time. First, you see the lightning, and then you listen the thunder. But it is the same energy that was released on the sky. It was one. The thing is that we perceive it in a different moment, in a different space-time. Why? Because first we have two different organs to receive it. So the light, the only way that I can perceive it is through my eyes. Unless that you are trained enough to receive it with your feeling. The second is the thunder, that you will only listen to it. And then the thunder, in order to reach you, has to pass through the atmospheric conditions. So the light only passes through the glass of the molecules of water in the air, like, and that's why it doesn't have like a lot of resistance. Instead, the sound has the wind and it moves the wavelength. It has maybe the trees, it has the electromagnetic fields that we don't see, but we have the electric light, we have the Wi-Fi, we have the radio, and the thunder has to pass through all these in order to reach your ears. So there is a lot of resonance and like obstacles, we can say, so it delays more. Let's put another example. For example, in the water. When you throw a stone inside the water, it is not going to fall with the same speed like if you throw it in the air, like right here. If I throw the stone here, it will fall quickly because of the gravity and because it doesn't have, in the media that it is falling, it doesn't have any resistance or very soft resistance, which is the air. Different if I throw the rock in the water, because inside the water he's going to face all the density of the water itself. Every time it moves, it has to go down, it has to separate or move away the body of water. So for the time that it also falls, pulled by the gravity, it will take longer. So the resistance of the air and of the conditions are more hard for the sound than for the light. A little bit more clear? Okay. So that is what happens. But the energy is one. What happened in the sky, this shock of clouds or this explosion with it, the pressure, whatever it happened, happens one time. It's only one thing, but we perceive it in different moments. Okay, magical conditions of physics. But what it is important here, relevant, is how you feel. Get to know yourself. I perceive the things in different ways. And then I kindly ask you to read How to Take Care of Your Energy, because this is very important. We have to be aligned in ourselves, in our center, in order to be able to give Reiki. If not, for example, if one day you have to give Reiki and you're not aligned, please do a meditation before or move it for later, because even though we are only channelers, there is something of us, a good intention that has to be passed through us. And if we are not centered, then you're not going to be able to feel, you're not going to be able to really receive, to be with your 5 senses with that person at that time. So it is a little bit inconvenient, and for that you have to sleep well, you have to wash yourself every day, you have to try to eat well, you don't have to have regrets, sadness, many things. Try to be as aligned as possible so you can give your best. That's part of giving and receiving your best energy. Then we mentioned that there were 2 different big methods of how we can feel the energy inside the body. We have the Chinese method, the method of the 5 elements, and we also have the method of the chakras. I'm going to translate what Rosie said, and it is that we are always going to feel first or receive first the light, because the speed of light is obviously faster, which means that has higher frequency than the speed of sound, that it will have like a slower frequency. So we were talking about the 2 methods of perceiving the energy in the physical body. And the first one is going to be the 5 elements, according to the Chinese medicine. Who remember which were the 5 elements?
Wood, fire, earth, metal, and water.
Great, and you say it in order, perfect.
Yeah, because I learned it like that.
Awesome, fantastic. Who would like to explain the cycle? Malika? Yes, go ahead, please.
I could. Okay. So water helps to create wood.
Yes, it feeds the wood. You need to
Yeah.
give water to a
Water
plant so it grows.
Keep growing. And then with the wood you can make fire. Then the fire burns everything into ashes and makes it into earth.
Mm-hmm.
Then deep in the earth you have metals. Right?
Exactly.
And then metal becomes water. No? Because water has many metals.
Well, yes. Actually, yesterday I received the chemical analysis of the water that I am buying.
Mm-hmm.
And if I read you this, inside the water, just to explain you how it works. Let me see, I think I just put it here. I have the cat on my lap, so I cannot really move. But if you see the chemical analysis of the water, it has a lot of metals. Metals understand as electrolytes. So for example, this has copper, zinc, aluminium, bromate, fluor, steel, chrome, nickel. Well, I don't know how to translate all of them, but you're going to find that in every drop of water, and depending on the source, it is more charged or less charged by minerals. The components of minerals, when it is drinking water, it is very little. So don't get like scared, no? Oh my God, this has a lot of, I don't know, chlorus or something. No. It is less than 1 accumulated, but it is charged. It is alive. If it is drinking water, you are going to find other natural sources of water that are going to be very charged of different, minerals. And these, for example, are the thermal water, the hot tubs of different places that smell like, who helped me with the word? Azufre. Sulfur, exactly. That smell like sulfur. Mm-hmm. They are very charged with sulfur, obviously, and that's why you cannot drink them. But they are very healthy, and they come charged with this mineral in a natural way. But just to let you know how, when they pass through the mountain, when they receive the ashes of the earth, they get charged with minerals. And that's what gives the water the life. And that's when I suggested you that if you're going to buy water, don't buy the water that has been purified, because when it passes through the osmosis process, it kills everything, including the life inside the water. Meanwhile, if we have the electrolytes alive from a natural source, we're going to have more life within the water. Well, depends on the filter. If it is a filter that only removes the excess of the hard minerals, because sometimes they put more calcium, more chloride, and more things in order to have cleaner the water, then it will help to make it more healthy for you. But it doesn't help to return the life that it had. One way of returning the life to the water, because the water has memory, you only have to make it remember who she was in order to start recuperating her minerals, is like pouring the water 8 times at least, up and down, so it oxygenates. If you see in life, for example, a great fall with a lot of oxygen coming in, so that's one of the ways of returning the life and the fluidity to water, and she really appreciates it. Another way is putting crystals, because the crystals also have minerals, so they will receive the minerals of the crystals, and then you have to make sure that the crystals that you put are with chemical composition that you can drink. Now, because not all of them, for example, the sapphires cannot be put inside the water. See, they have titanium. So, but for example, a crystal clear, a clear quartz is something that returns the life to the water. The filter itself depends on the filter. There are some filters, for example, the ones of, I forget, this Korean brand that have stones. They move the water, and additionally they pass through rocks. Nickel, see, I think are the nickel filters. They do return the water life, but I'm not sure which filter you have. So just check what is the process that it does in your water, okay? All right, so very good about the normal cycle. Everything has cycles, remember. These elements happen inside your body, these elements happen in nature, and now we are starting in the South Hemisphere. We are all here in the South Hemisphere? Yes, I think so. No, not Malika, yes. Well, you're starting autumn, but we're starting spring. But we are all part of a cycle. And this also happens with the planets, and this also happens with the virus and with the bacteria, thanks God, and that's why the quarantine soon will end. Because everything is part of a cycle. It has to come to an end. And if we understand it and go with this flow, we are not going to suffer. Who would like to explain what is the control cycle? Which is the star that you see inside the picture. Okay, what it means is that when the elements are not in balance, when the elements move, one of the elements is consuming more another one, or in disorder, like in this case, the star, what is showing you is that they are skipping the next one. So for example, instead of the wood going to go and feed the fire, the wood is going to affect the earth, because if you have a lot of wood in the earth will dry. Too much trees, and if the earth doesn't have enough resources of nutrients, it will acidify the earth and it will not be able to maintain the wood. In the same way, too much earth in the water is going to block the flow of water. It's going to contain it. And that's one of the ways that you can just limit water, putting a lot of air. That's how they do the dams. And then if you have too much water, you are going to spend off the fire. This is clear, I think. And if you use too much fire, you are going to melt the metals. So you destroy its qualities. And if you put too much metal, you're able to cut the wood. With the metal, with the sharp metal, we cut the wood. So this is the way that the elements are affected. We have a cycle, that means that you are doing well, in balance, because each needs its mother in order to continue. Or you have a cycle when you skip the son, let's say, when you skip the next one and you go to the grandmother to the granddaughter or grandson, because you're skipping the mother, let's say. And in that way, what is happening is that you are abusing of the element. Another way to explain it is, when you are in a good circumstance and the things continue, let's say that your energy moves so well that you are in an ascending spiral. So every time that you go through the cycle, you learn something and you continue evolving and you go up, 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 and up. But if instead you are not passing in a good moment of your life, and you try in this way and you don't do it right, and you try in this other way and you don't do it right, your energy is coming down, also in cycles, also in spirals. And the more that you do this, is worse for how you're feeling. For example, I am feeling sad and I decide that I better go out with some friends to drink some alcohol, because I am trying to covering my sadness with a bottle of wine, let's say. And that time I went with my friends and I knew that I was feeling better off. But for the moment that the alcohol left my body, I again felt sad. So I'm going to need more alcohol the next time to don't feel the sadness again. So this time I don't have my friends, so I'm going to do it by myself. And I did it with myself. And then I noticed that I don't need 1 cup, but I need 2 cups of alcohol in order to not feel sad. So I am also in a cycle, needing more, but damaging my energy. Instead of reaching high states, I am going down, and I will need more and more and more until I break the cycle. So that is a way of abusing. We lost Yolanda in the way. Okay. Hope that she reconnects. So we have constructive cycles and we have destructive cycles. And this one that I was mentioning, when we abuse of the elements, we have a destructive cycle. So what we have to do in somebody's body and in our own body is to return the element to feel balanced. We have to return the element to feel balanced. The other way of not being balanced in this cycle, for example, is when the granddaughter, let's say, is going to abuse of the grandmother. In this case, let me see, if I have the water, the mother is going to be metal, but the grandmother is going to be earth. So if I go backwards, putting too much water into the earth, I am also going to make a flood. And it's going to be too much. So the granddaughter can abuse also of the grandmother, breaking the cycle. If I have too much metal and I put it into the fire, too much metal can also spend the fire. If I go with too much fire to the water, I'm going to be able to evaporate the water. If I go So you see, like if you go in the opposite side of the star, we are also going to break a cycle. The only possibility of this cycle to work properly is in the cycle that it is in circles. Any other is going to break the cycle. How do we control this inside the body? You have to notice where the person is. In which cycle, in which element she is living. And you have to give her a little bit of the mother in order for her to continue to feed that and move the energy towards the next one. In that way, she is going to be able to continue moving in the cycle. How does this work? Let's say, remember that each of these have organs, and you have to ask to the person if they are in pain or what are their physical conditions. So we mentioned that we have organs that are yang and organs that are yin. And each element has its own organs. So in wood, the organs are the liver and the gallbladder. The liver being the yin organ. So if somebody comes to me and they say that they have a problem in the liver, where am I going to locate them? They are going to be in the element of wood. Okay? The symptoms are going to let me know in which part of the cycle the person is. How I'm going to take out or move the energy? First, I'm going to go to wood and I'm going to say, okay, the mother of wood is water. So please, you have to drink a lot of water so you're able to move. And then, when I do the Reiki treatment, I'm going to move starting from the liver to the heart, because it is the next organ or the next element, the element of fire. So I'm going to move the energy to the heart, and I'm going to move the energy to the small intestine, because we have the yin and the yang, and then continue the cycle, continue cleaning the organs and moving the energy starting from the liver to the rest, okay? But making emphasis that I am moving the energy to the next element. Malika, you were going to ask something.
What do you mean, like you move the energy to the heart, physically direct the energy to the heart when you're giving Reiki?
Exactly. To the heart and to the small intestine. How do I know where first? You have to see if the person is in yin or is in yang. So, okay, you have a problem of the liver. Why? Because you are a person and you can see if the person is reddish, if it's a person that feels so much anger. Do you remember that each organ has as well its own emotion? Or because maybe you are in yin and you feel depressed and then you have drinking a lot and you don't know how to quit and it is controlling you. Yang is when the person is going to control, and that's why abusing of this control. And yin is when the person is lack of control at all. And also with the physical manifestations. And I give you a chart with different physical manifestations. Do you remember? So you can put a lot of attention to the symptoms. If they have a lot of saliva, if they scream, if they tell you, no, I scream, I couldn't do it, what are all the conditions that the person is describing you? What you have to know is where to start. And you are going to start from where the person is located, right? So if the person comes to you because she's feeling very sad, I'm feeling very sad. Where are you going to start?
Metal.
For the
Lungs.
metal, exactly, with the lungs. You're going to start with the lungs. And we
The
have
sadness is metal.
the sadness is metal, exactly. That means that the person needs to end up the cycle. The person is feeling sad, which means that the person is attached to something. They have not end up the cycle. To end up the cycle, you have to move the person to water. Water is when the cycle dies. And then that person understands that she needs to let it go. And when the person is in water, the person understands that there is a new beginning, a new opportunity, that they have to move to wood. So that is exactly what you have to understand. Know what is the feeling of the person.
Complete the whole circle basically.
Yes,
So
every
if the
time.
person is sad, you move from lung to kidney to liver. So the circle has to be completed at every treatment.
At every treatment, exactly. But what you have to know is where to start. Locate the person
Got
to
it.
consciously say, I'm going to move you out from this to this. And suggest that person to eat, for example, the food that it is of the next color, remember? or the next flavor. So you can tell them to eat, for example, spicy or sour or sweet. If I want somebody to be happy and all that, I can suggest that she takes something sweet. But not depend on the sweet, not stay there. But like just have something sweet and get out of this. And then continue with the cycle. Don't stay there. Okay? Maria, you had a question?
Yes.
Yolanda, you next.
If we identify if it is yin, if the person is more in yin than in yang, or the other way around, what does that information give us? Or what do we do with that information?
Every feeling in the body accumulates in an organ. And within the cycle, we have yin and yang energy. And every element that has this yin and yang organ, you have to clean and balance both organs. So for example, in the case of the yin, no, if the problem is a problem of anger, then the person, you have to especially clean the liver and balance it with the gallbladder. So it is part of understanding, and also you're going to see the physical appearance gives you a lot. What is how the person speak, how the person breathe. If they breathe too fast, like no, and this is what happened, and I cannot. Every time I remember, I just hate him. Da, da, da. That person is in yang energy, is active, is motivated. If the person comes like this, okay, please tell me, how do you feel? I'm fine. Okay, but why are you here? Somebody brought me. So you're going to see that that person is more in yin, doesn't want to move, doesn't want to get out of that space, but definitely is not balanced. So this gives you also like everything, how the person looks, if they move the pupils very quick, like if they can't stay still, for example, if they are moving the leg like this, like impatience, they are in yang. All the movement, the breathing, how they look, the posture, all that gives you keys to see or understand if they are in yin energy or in yang energy, how they walk, how they enter to the place that you are. And how do you know this? By practicing, by analyzing. Every time that you go out, you will say, okay, I'm going to try to see if the persons that I find out are in yin or in yang. If you see persons that are in a hurry, they are going to be in yang energy. If you see, for example, the old people that sit and very calmly and they walk slowly in a park, they sit in a park and they contemplate, that's a yin mood. Obviously, every age has its own cycle. So it is part of life that you are in yin, or it is part of life that you are in yang. But just for you to know how to understand that, okay? Okay, I will start with wood, because you would like to start a new cycle for them. If they want to be balanced...
So wood is the start of the cycle?
Yes, it's a spring, is when you are a kid, is always the starting point. If we are balanced. This is a different method. The chakras is how you move the energy inside your body according to the Indian method, let's say. And this is the method of the Chinese medicine. So you can choose one or the other. The Chinese method, I like, both of them refer to different organs, No, my cat is crazy today. She wants to step on the keyboard and eating all the things that I have here, calling my attention. Like, it's too early, why aren't you cuddling me? Bueno, so you have to choose between one or the other method. You can become expert in only the chakras, for example. Each chakra also have an organ, each chakra also have a condition. I like from the Chinese method, and you can learn both, that it is very clear how the conditions, the emotions are linked with each part of the body. So it's easy to determine if you have this emotion, then I have to start working through this organ and move the energy from here to continue the cycle. Take you out of that stuck or stagnation in that element. That's what you have to do.
One last one, because I think I looked at chart, is what about when people are in a state of anxiety, because of something feeling uncertain, or anxiety or fear, or
Anxiety and all of them had to do with worry.
Body, right?
Yes, exactly. They had to do with worry. So they are going to be stuck in earth, the element earth.
Okay.
And how we do it? Then it's very possible, for example, when the person are anxious or when they are worried about something, what is going to happen and all that they feel the heaviness. For example, these days, I feel that my muscles here are contracted. Why? Because maybe you have a business and you don't know how you're going to continue, and you have the weight of your family at your back, and you think that you need to continue, and you see them there at home, and you don't know what is going to happen with the economy. So all this gets contracted. I have the weight of life, muscles. And if you go and check, muscles have to do with earth, with worries. Thick saliva, for example. Also the mouth, if I have problems in the mouth, also can be worries. Aftas, I don't know if you have heard about aftas, or little things that come when your immune system goes down, like little blisters inside. Yeah, those are worries. So what you have to do is locate the person in the element, and when you know where the person is, determine if the energy that the person is feeling is yin or is yang, and you can just balance that. And then move the energy to the next one, because you are trying to move her out with, remember that only it works in this way. So it's not that you're going to start, oh no, I do the heart and then the belly. No, in this case, yes, the heart and then the stomach, but it has to be in the order, because that is the intention that you're putting, that the person comes back to balance. Okay? Reiki has a lot to do with the intention that you're doing it, and that's why you start with this, and then you're trying to move the energy, because you're consciously working with your mind, with your thought, and that's what you're telling the energy to do. Okay? You are creating this movement to this person. The large intestine, at this part of the title, you find if it is yin or if it is yang. Each of it, you know if it is yin or if it is yang.
Lung, yin.
For example, the kidney is yin. The liver is going to be yin. The gallbladder is going to be the companion yang. The pericardium is going to be yin. The kidneys are yin. The gut is yang. The heart is yin. The spleen is yin. The stomach is yang. The large intestine is yang. The small intestine is yang. So each part has one yin and one yang. Yes, Maria, tell me.
I have only one doubt. If you have, for example, problems in your lungs, the food, what do you advise to eat? The thing of the following element, or the things that we have here in each element?
The following element, because you're trying to move the person to the next one of the following element. If you give the food of the same element, then the person stays there. You're feeding the same element. It has to be of the... So you said the lungs, right? That's what you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay. So if the person have problems in the lungs or is feeling sad, we have to move to the next element. That is going to be water.
Yes.
So give her things that have water, like watermelon, like obviously water, and like take a lot of drinks, like that. That's how you move it. But because I think, but you have the chart that I was looking that I didn't find here, that the flavor, which was the flavor in metal? I think it was spicy.
The cereal is rice and the flavor, sabor, it's picante.
Sí, spicy.
Yes, spicy.
So if you're going to tell the person, oh, go and have a lot of drinks, but none of them should be spicy.
Okay.
Because if not, she's going to stay there. And you want that person to
Yes,
move.
the flavor of water is salty.
It's salty, exactly. So for example, suggest to this person that go to the sea is going to be something very good because it's water and salted. Inside the meridians, we have one root for each of the organs, and we have other roots that have nothing to do with organs, or at least with physical organs. And we're going to have the triple heater channel, or Xiao Yang, which is the three suns, something that has to do only with your energy, the same as the governing vessel and the conception vessel. They have to do with your electromagnetic field. One is for, let's say, from here going up and coming down, and the other one is from here going down and coming back up. So they have opposite directions. The energy has to move in both directions. Well, and these are not related to organs. They are only energetic movements of our energy, but we have these fields. In the terms of the chakras, we call them the Kundalini. And what happens is that when you raise the Kundalini up through your spine, you create a toroidal shape around your body. Remember that we are an egg, like an egg shape, a circle around us. And that is what the Chinese medicine refers to the Du Mei or Ren Mai, which are the governed vessel and the conception vessel. They are both inside and outside. Inside, they represent each of the organs. And they go through the veins, they go through the blood, but additionally they go out. Yes, well, the idea is to work with both, with the nervous and with the endocrine system, because we are complete. So this has to be an holistic.
If we work with both systems, it's very complete because we work with the nervous system and the endocrine system. So,
Yes.
in the energetic way and directly in the organ.
Exactly.
So,
Very good comment from Rose. Yes, it is good to know both, and because depending on what arrives to you, your intuition would let you know, I will take this through this method.